So looking at sort of this next phase of our conversation today, it's looking at the old assumptions and then the new challenges, right? So Jerry, you had put this together. I think your presentation on this is great. Walk us through some of these new banes that we're finding that we may not have covered in detail yet on this call.
Yeah, sure. So this first bullet point isn't a new bane; it's an old one. It was how do you treat Excel spreadsheets, and that was dealing with what would be ostensibly structured data way back in the day. And I know that we originally tried to shove that into a document. We would, rasterize that, and it turned out terrible. It looked terrible, right? It would overflow into additional pages for the additional columns, and then ultimately, I think we ended up on saying, let's produce that native. Right. And I think that's kind of the framework still today, that we should be treating structured data. Let's deal with it native. Let's deal with it in its structured format. It's just a matter of presenting it in the way that is, user friendly. But again, it's applying special treatment where special treatment is needed. Right. And so it's not a far cry from how we dealt with Excel back in the day. But some of the new banes or new challenges is around chat transcript unitization, right? So if you are creating a document, do you produce or process it as one gigantic transcript? I might have a text conversation with my wife going back to 2010, right? Do you want, tens of thousands of pages of that chat conversation? Now, that no one's doing that today, granted, right? But I still see some shops processing each individual message as an individual document, right? So an LOL is one document. It's like K, see you there is another document. And so that's also, not user friendly. And I think most vendors are doing 24-hour transcripts, which is equally arbitrary as far as I'm concerned. What I think the more advanced shops are doing is considering what's called it's called chat density analysis. So that's taking kind of a statistical approach on looking at the gaps in between conversations with participants and then unitizing those accordingly. So, you might get a 3-page document transcript for a chat conversation. You might get a 5. There are kind of drawbacks and advantages to that too, because the drawback is that you might throw your review productivity statistics off, right? Because if you've got a chat transcript that's 1 page and then another that's 500, some reviewers will look like they're falling behind their peers when you're running analysis on that. That's something practical that we uncovered recently. But the benefit is that you get better TAR off of chat communications now if you're using the chat density analysis, right? You're not just getting arbitrary 1-page transcripts, which are better than individual documents for TAR, but kind of feeding the computer linguistics, works really well using the density analysis. The modern attachments, again, like I said before, they're soft links to other locations like OneDrive or Dropbox or Drive. And these cloud systems keep a ton of different versions of these documents, literally every, couple of seconds as you're typing or as you stop typing, it creates a new version in the background. So if you elect to collect all versions of a particular attachment, you might get hundreds, if not thousands, of versions of that document. Or if you elect to get only one, it might give you the most recent version, which isn't necessarily the point in time document that was attached to a particular chat. Right, it may have been updated dramatically since the point in time in which it was attached. So you don't want the most recent one 2 years on, right? So modern attachments is a challenge. Custodian ownership. If you've got a shared drive like OneDrive or Google Drive, custodianship doesn't really apply because it's single instance storage. In other words, it's a document with multiple owners. So how the whole point of having these collaboration platforms is for multiple people to be working on it. And so, there isn't a distinct owner necessarily. It's almost like the challenge of department chairs, right? If you've got a department chair, how do you know which custodian that belongs to? You just assign it a generic one. And so that's exacerbated with cloud storage. And, cloud-based documents for example, coming out of Google Drive, those aren't actual documents in the cloud. So you have like, all the native Google documents, and when you export those out, they turn into Microsoft Office equivalents. So your slide turns into a PowerPoint, your doc turns into a Word document, or your sheets turns into a Excel file. So all those get brand new born on create dates, and that's not consistent, or it's forensically consistent, but it's not practically consistent with the actual create date for that document, especially if it's been uploaded from a user's laptop, right, much earlier on. And then structured data, that's what we've been talking about during this entire presentation.